Hey, how's it going, everyone? This tutorial is going to show you how to add a button to your React website that allows users to connect to their MetaMask wallet. This currently would only work with MetaMask wallet as far as I know. It's possible that it works with other wallets. I haven't looked into those libraries. If you'd be interested in a video for a different wallet or a different API, feel free to drop a comment down below. This video does assume a couple of things. It assumes that you have npm installed. If not, I'll include a link in the description on where you can download it. It also assumes that if you're going to download npm, that you have brew installed, which is something that you use to install npm. Also include a link down below. And then this sort of repository that I'm also going to link down below, I'm going to link a Git repository. It also has a ton of libraries installed, and it assumes that you have those installed, but it's okay if you don't, because if you don't, you can just use npm to help you download those libraries. So once you clone this repository onto your local machine, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have npm installed, and then after you have npm installed, you're going to want to run npm install. And that's basically just going to download all of the packages that this repository has in it onto your local machine so that you can use it. And so once that's all done, you should be able to build the website. And the way that you're going to build it is by running npm run dev. I'm currently already running it right here on this terminal over here. But what that would look like is in the terminal where you have your repository cloned, you would just write npm run dev. And the reason why you run this line is because this project is currently running using Next.js. That's a whole other video if you guys would like that. It's basically a React framework that makes building websites really easy. It's a good alternative that I found to create React app. And with that being said, after you run npm run dev, you'll be prompted with a terminal that looks something like this, and then we'll be ready to develop. So let me just go ahead and show you what the website would look like right now. And all it has is basically a header and a button that when you click it does absolutely nothing. You see? So what you're going to want to do is go back to the file that says connect button right under the components folder, and then we're going to want to do a couple of things. So you'll realize that here we have the onClick being the connect button onClick, which is just a function that's defined out here. What we're going to want this to do is to get the wallet address from the browser if it exists. And so the way that we do that is by basically asking the browser to tell us if it has the object called Ethereum. And so basically what's going on is that anytime you open up a browser in one of your wallets, that browser the app attaches an object to your window object. So anytime you open up a website, you open up a window object, and these browsers are attaching objects. This object just happens to be called Ethereum, and if it has that object attached, then we can easily access the account address. Okay, so first what you're going to want to do is basically run a couple of checks, right? So first, you're going to want to check if it has that object, right? Because if they're connected, if they're going to your website, say from a Safari browser, or from something that's not enabled through wallets, say for example right now I'm on Chrome with MetaMask, then you don't want it to you can't connect to their wallet, right? Because Safari doesn't have like the MetaMask extension that Chrome does. And so what you're going to want to do is basically check if it has the window object. The way you do that is by checking that the object called window is not undefined, right? And then if this is true, then we have a couple of things that are available to us. One of which is called window.ethereum, and then within the Ethereum object we can run a request, and then that request would get us basically the account address. And so what we're gonna want to do here is I'm gonna write a variable, a constant that's basically gonna be the result of running that function window.ethereum.request. And then in here, basically what we want to write is the method. We want it to be eth_request accounts. And I'll go ahead and explain this in a bit right after I'm done writing it. And then we're going to write const account. And at the very end, we're going to want to return the account. So this isn't done yet. Don't go ahead and save this. The problem with this is a couple of things. This function window.ethereum.request is an asynchronous function, or what that means is basically it returns the data at a different time than when you request the data. And so when I run it, JavaScript is going to go line by line, and then it's going to essentially say like, oh, does accounts already have it's going to assume accounts already has the data, and it's going to go ahead and try to access it at position 0. And if this function has not returned the data yet, we're going to have an error, and it's going to be a big issue. And so what we want to do also in addition to this is basically write a separate function that's asynchronous, so that JavaScript knows that this data is loaded asynchronously. And so we're going to want to write that async function, and we're just going to call it getAccount. And basically what this async function is going to be exactly what we have here. So it's going to be the request, and then it's going to return it. And so now all we have to do inside this if statement, after we know that the window is not undefined, we're going to want to run our function getAccount. And then because this function is asynchronous, we're going to want to write a .then chain. And in here, basically, we know what getAccount returns. It returns the account. And so what we want to do is do something with that account, right? So right now we're just going to write a function that's going to take in the response. Let's just say for now we just want to log it. Make sure that everything's working. Open up my terminal. And refresh it. Okay, so it's saying undefined. Let's see what's going on here. If type of window does not equal undefined. getAccount. Let's see. So response here is being undefined. Is our windows? Yes. We have to write await, because this, like we said, this function is ran asynchronously. So let me refresh that. And so what you'll notice is that my address is already here because I just so happened to test this before I started recording this video. But let me make sure I disconnect it, right? So you see I'm going to disconnect from this account. It's not connected to localhost anymore. Okay. And then I'm going to write connect button. Click connect button, sorry. Click next. And then connect. And you see here's the localhost, right? This is the website that we're building right now. And boom. Here is the address for this particular wallet. And so now we have the address, right? Usually what most decentralized applications do is they display that address somewhere. And so in a bit, I'll show you how to display that, and also how to display it conditionally. Before we do that, I want to quickly explain this function here. And so we said that this function .request was asynchronous because it's requesting data, and that data might return at different times. And so we have to await that data and then save it into accounts. The next logical question is, why are we indexing into this thing called accounts? And why are we calling it accounts in the first place? The way that MetaMask has implemented their API is basically when you run this .request function, it returns an array of accounts attached to that MetaMask account. And so as of now, it doesn't make sense why we would have multiple accounts attached to our MetaMask account. But the thought process behind this is basically, imagine if at some other point MetaMask wants to allow you to connect to different account types, and I believe you can do this now. It might have been a different time when the API was written, but they can actually just expand this accounts array to include all of the addresses for the different kinds of accounts that can be saved in your MetaMask wallet. And so it just so happens that in the first one, they're going to put the Ethereum one. As of now, there's nothing else in the array. And so if you were to index this at 1, nothing would happen, or you would get an error. And so going back to basically how we can display this address, what we're going to want to do is not console log it anymore. We're going to want to save it somewhere. And because this is a state of, say, this button, we're gonna write it as a state. You're going to want to write the following. And I'll explain in a bit why this is the case. So we're basically using this useState function that we imported from the React package. And we're gonna call this state account address, and then this is just a setter function. And what we're gonna do in here is basically just set the account address to the response. And then where we have this connect button text, what we're gonna do is we're gonna check if the account address is not undefined. Then what we want to do is we want to actually show the account address. And then if it is undefined, then we want to show the connect button. So let's go ahead and look over here. Reference error, account address. I probably spelled that wrong. Let's make sure that it's the same. Boom. Okay. So we know that it's not going to be undefined because I'm currently connected to the wallet. Sorry. And then boom, there's the address, right? So now let me go back and explain what's going on here. We're using useState because if at some other point this application becomes very complex and other things on the website get updated, we don't necessarily want to re-render this component because the data has not changed. And so what React does is basically allows us to use this function useState that sort of adds a listener to the data and only changes the website, or only changes that part of the website if that data changes. And so it's just a way to keep track of state, basically. You should try basically just writing a const without using useState just to see what happens. And eventually you realize that you should come back to this useState function. The other thing that's going on here is basically we're just setting the account address. So that's basically giving this a value. And this notation here is basically saying, give me the truthy or the falsy value of this variable. And it just so happens that the undefined type is falsy value. And so if this is false, then this is a tertiary operator. And so basically if this is false, it returns the thing at the end, which is connect button. And then if it's true, it returns account address. And so that basically shows us how we can connect MetaMask wallet to our website. The other thing that you would want to do here is if this application gets much bigger, you're going to want to save that state somewhere else. You're not going to want to save it into the button. you're probably going to want to save it at the page level or even higher than that at the application level, maybe somewhere in the browser. That's for another video. If you like this video and you found it helpful, please like and comment, or like and subscribe, or maybe just drop a comment if you found it helpful, or if you think other videos would be helpful. I'm currently building a website called leafs.wtf, leafs.wtf, which is basically a decentralized social media platform built on top of ENS. If you want to go check that out. And along my journey, I'm learning all of these new technologies, and I sort of decided to document that journey through these videos. So if you'd like to learn anything else, feel free to just drop a comment, and I'll get back to you when I can. Have a good day. Bye.